You need to really think about everything you say, because if she doesn't like you, I can't marry someone she doesn't like. That's my daughter.
Are you kidding with me, babe?
They may not yet be in the States, but already Shekinah is laying down the law. If Sarper doesn't watch what he says, then they might not get married. But let's face it, that isn't exactly one of Sarper's strengths. So will he be able to change his ways?
Of course I will do my best. But what do you want me to? I cannot do extra than my character, you know? This is what I am. I'm an asshole sometimes, but I'm cute.
A cute arsehole, just what every girl wants for their mother, right? Yeah, perhaps not. Now, challenges with Shekinah's daughter aren't the only drama that Shekinah and Sarper face this week. But before we get to the tearful, emotional farewells, let's rewind to the start. So, the last time we saw them, Sarper had just revealed to his family he'd dropped the bombshell on them that he was off to the States. And when we join them in this episode, Shekinah and Sarper have gone to spend some time before they leave with Sarper's cousin and her daughter. As we've seen before, Sarper is great with the little girl, and once again, Sarper is in fun uncle mode.
I can't say no to her, you know? You and her made me circus monkey, you know that?
Now, as Sarper is off living his best life, things between Shekinah and his cousin quickly turn serious. They begin talking about the upcoming move. Now, Sarper's cousin is worried about what will happen when they're in the States and they have a fight. How will you guys deal with that, she asks. Like, you, Shekinah, have moved out of Sarper's place in Turkey numerous times. What will happen if you were to have those kind of arguments in the States?
It's the thing I'm worried about the most is us having a bad fight, and I'm like, get out of my place.
Yeah, and where he is going to go? He may come back.
Shekinah is just as worried about that. She admits that when they argue, yeah, there's a chance that she might kick him out of her place. But, she says, I have a plan for that. I'm going to introduce Sarper to my friends, and then that way, if we argue, he'll have someone that he can call. Simple, right?
Even though they're my friends, he can call on them too.
Do you think that your friends will open their houses?
I definitely have friends that would
Oh my God,
have
you
a
don't
neutral
know him
position.
at all.
Really?
Shekinah, 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 you don't know my cousin at all, do you? Asks his cousin. This is a proud man that we're talking about. Do you really think he's going to go to your friend's place if you kick him out? Now, her saying this, like saying that she doesn't know the man that she's set to marry, comes as a low blow to Shekinah. She really doesn't seem happy at all about that comment. But whether it's a low blow or not, however she's interpreted that, if Sarper's going to be moving halfway across the world to be with her, to move into her home, well, at that point, she shouldn't be thinking of it as just her home anymore. It's now both of their homes. Like, she can't just kick him out all the time whenever she feels like it. She can't expect him to go and crash around someone else's. He has a right to return back to his safe space. And let's not forget, unlike Shekinah, who was free to travel back and forth from America to Turkey whenever she felt like it, Sarper won't be able to leave the States, at least not until he gets married and gets his paperwork. So, with all that in mind, Sarper's cousin questions whether or not Shekinah has really thought this through. Are you ready for what's about to come? She asks.
Are you really ready to handle a side of him that opens up when he feels he's not in control?
Now, there's no doubt about it, right? Sarper isn't going to have the level of control he's used to in Turkey when he moves to the States. He's not going to be able to work, at least not for a while. He's going to live in Shekinah's house. He's not going to know anyone. Those are all massive changes. That complete flip turn of his life, that loss of control, does have the potential to wreak havoc on any upcoming nuptials.
In my experience with Sarper, he does not handle not being in control very well. And he will create chaos for us if he feels like things aren't going his way.
Yeah, like it really might get a heck of a lot worse than Sarper counting the grains of rice on his plate or counting how many cars drive past his apartment. This has the potential to put a lot of stress on their relationship, and it will be up to Shekinah to not only help Sarper through that, but also have the compassion needed if he is going through a rough time. So with Sarper's cousin's warnings ringing in her ears, the pair head over to Sarper's parents' house. And it's here, whilst saying goodbye to his family, that Sarper reveals his fears too.
It is really difficult leaving everything, going to US, to a surrounding that I don't know anyone but Shekinah only.
This is tough for Sarper. He's very close to his family and he loves his country. Remember, it was never his intention to move to the States. He always wanted Shekinah to live in Turkey with him, but she was the one that couldn't adjust. So now it's his turn. He now has to try and make the same sacrifices that Shekinah tried to make. It's tough, right? It is hard knowing that you're going to be leaving your life behind. But if he was hoping for a little more sympathy from Shekinah, well, let's just say her supplies are running low.
I think it's a little overly dramatic because you're a grown man.
Is that the case? Is he really being dramatic? I don't know. I don't think he's being overly dramatic. Like, he's allowed to find it tough. He's allowed to love his family and not want to leave them, isn't he? Like, don't get me wrong. I understand that being attached to your family, being attached to your parents shouldn't stop you from living your life. But that isn't what's happened here. Sarper is going to the States. He has the right to feel how he feels. If he's sad, then he should be allowed to feel sad about it. Like, his parents are allowed to feel sad that their son is leaving. Like, if this is the level of sympathy that Shekinah is going to afford Sarper when he gets to the States, it doesn't exactly bode too well, does it? Now, Sarper tries his best to explain that in a way that, as a parent, Shekinah might understand.
One day Sophie tells you that she goes to another country.
I've raised her to be very independent.
Okay, maybe that you can feel my mother's feelings.
I might be wrong, you can let me know your thoughts, but I think Shekinah's in the minority here. Most parents, and I'm a parent myself, most parents want to see their kids more than once every few months. And that's especially true when they're still kids, right? But with Shekinah's daughter Sophie in boarding school, Shekinah appears to be a bit different to most. She seems quite relaxed about it. She has no qualms either her leaving her kid or her kid leaving her. She doesn't get what the big deal is. She can't really empathise with Sarper or his parents. Now, Sarper's parents are in their 70s. He's told us they have medical conditions. Like, that will play on his mind, won't it? If something were to happen to them and him being an only child, he won't be able to get back to help them. Either way, when they get back to Sarper's home, his mood doesn't really improve. You see, it's not just his parents that he's sad to leave. He'll be sad to say goodbye to his apartment too. But let's not forget, Shekinah has a love-hate relationship with this apartment. She doesn't exactly feel the same way.
The only thing I would miss is you, and I'm taking it with me. So.
The beginning of the end.
The beginning of a new chapter, not the end.
Look, they're going to be starting a brand new, exciting chapter of their lives together over in the States. Sarper needs to start seeing it that way. It can't all be doom and gloom, or this move will never work. So why is Sarper so reluctant, so gloomy about saying goodbye to his apartment? Well, let's just say it has a lot of history.
At least thousands of girls visited there. I have to make this place a museum, you know?
There literally isn't enough hand sanitizer in the world to make me step foot in that museum. If Shekinah were to know the real reason why Sarper's so nostalgic about leaving his apartment, you get the feeling she might burn the entire place down. Yeah, now I understand why she's so excited to leave this place. Now, the pair of them obviously have a lot to think about and a lot to plan. And when we next join them on the day of their departure, excitement, or more accurately, tensions are running high. For as much as Sarper is thinking about what he's leaving behind, his past, Shekinah is thinking about the future. In particular, Sarper's very first meeting with her daughter Sophie.
I just can't help but think about how bad it went with Shreya.
Yeah.
And it just can't go like that with Sophie, you know?
Now, as I'm sure you recall, Sarper's first meeting with Shekinah's sister, Shariah, went just about as bad as any first meeting ever could go. It went terribly. Shariah not only felt personally insulted, but she was very worried about her sister. She pleaded for her to leave Sarper, come back home with her. And as they've told us multiple times in the past, Shariah went back to the States and told all of the family, including Sophie, that Sarper was bad news. It all got very messy. Like, Shekinah has told us her family don't speak to her anymore. They've cut her off until, they say, she splits up with Sarper. But they do still speak to Sophie. They're in Sophie's ear, Shekinah tells us. They're swaying her opinions about Sarper. I really need you to prove to everyone, to prove to my daughter that impression they have of you is wrong, Shekinah begs.
You need to really think about everything you say. Because if she doesn't like you, I can't marry someone she doesn't like.
Is it a threat?
Shekinah knows for a fact that Sophie has been influenced by Shariah. If you can't prove Shariah wrong, if you can't win Sophie over, Sophie might object to our marriage, Shekinah says. And while Shekinah may not have any qualms about leaving her daughter, spending time apart from her, that doesn't mean that her daughter's opinion doesn't matter to her. It does. Terribly. She wants Sophie to like her future stepfather. Sarper needs to step up and make a good impression, she says. But we all know that can be a challenge for Sarper. His personality isn't exactly to everyone's taste.
Of course I will do my best. But what do you want me to? I cannot do extra than my character, you know? This is what I am. I'm an asshole sometimes, but I'm cute.
At least the guy is self-aware. We've got to give him that, right? The best she's going to get, the most that she can ask for, is for him to try and go heavy on the cute part of his personality and try and go light on the arse side, especially in front of Sophie. But this challenge poses a problem for Sarper. It has him quite worried.
Sophie is her daughter, but she's a teenager. I hope even she doesn't like me, she kind of sees that I'm trying to my best because I am also making a sacrifice.
I mean, that's a fair worry to have, isn't it? Like, I kind of agree with Sarper here. As a teenager, most likely, Sophie isn't going to like Sarper, at least at first. She has a preconceived notion of what he's going to be like, right? And she is, quite rightly, she is going to have her reservations. Shekinah is going to need to be prepared to give Sophie time. Like, we all know Sarper's an acquired taste. If she's expecting him to win Sophie around immediately, then she's in for disappointment, isn't she? But all that for another day, because first things first, for now, Sarper has bigger things to worry about. As he sadly closes the door on his apartment, his parents are waiting for them downstairs to take them to the airport. Yeah, the new chapter is about to begin, but it is bittersweet.
I have to be so excited I'm going to a new country with the girl I love to set up a new life with her, but I'm not, because I'm leaving everything behind.
Sarper's saying goodbye to his parents, not knowing when he's going to see them again. He knows it's breaking their heart, him being away, and also him maybe getting married without them present. If he gets married, well, even that doesn't mean he can come back home. It takes a while to get all the paperwork, the green card in place for him to be able to leave the country. It might be months, maybe even a year or more, until he gets to see them again. And that, for parents in their 70s with medical conditions, is a long time. It's a worry. It's a worry for Sarper, but you can clearly see it's a worry for his parents too. They seem pretty heartbroken. But, and this is a sign of good parents, they're heartbroken, but they're also super supportive.
Seviniyorum hem üzülüyorum hem istiyorum gitsin orada bir istikbali olsun. Bir yandan sevdiği kadınla beraber olsun ama tabii ayrılık çok acı.
That is so sweet, but also so heartbreaking, isn't it? Despite their pain, despite how much this is hurting them, right, his parents are happy for him. They're happy that he's found the woman that he loves, the woman that has tamed him and that he wants to settle down with. Even if that means he has to move away from them to be with her. Like, it's this moment, it's this kind of support that Sarper isn't going to get in the States. Shekinah's family dynamic is very, very different to Sarper's. And with that, with those worries and thoughts in his mind, now it's time to say goodbye.
Allah sizi korusun.
For all of Sarper's faults, and yeah, he has a lot, but I have to admit that really hit me in the feels. It tugged at my heartstrings. Like, it's impossible to watch that and not feel anything, isn't it? Like, we watch this show, we examine all of these relationships, looking to see love. And if you're looking for love, you're not gonna find a more pure form of love than what we just saw. That was real. That was as real as it gets. I mean, look at them. His parents look lost. It's sad. But, says Sarper, it's a gamble I have to take.
I hate the feeling of if something happens and if I don't know, that would probably kill me. So I hope that sacrifice worth something.
Hopefully he'll see them again soon. Not too soon, but let's not forget, there is a lot that has to happen for them to get married within 90 days. That, by no means, is a dead cert, and as the pair of them walk away towards their future, a lot is still unsure. There's the uncertainty of the wedding, there's the uncertainty of Sarper's relationship with Sophie and Shekinah's wider family, and of course, the uncertainty of adapting to a new country. Like, there's a lot to figure out here. There's a lot of challenges on the horizon. Let's hope that Sarper can rise to them. If not, well, then he might be back in Turkey sooner than his parents planned.